There once was a tree who lived in a magical forest. Every day he received nurturing from the earth, sun, and sky. Sometimes a bird friend would land on him to visit for a while, or to eat insects who were trying to make a home in his bark. He was connected, not just to Mother Earth and her creatures, but to all the trees. Underground, his roots intertwined with other roots, and those roots were connected to the trees near them. They communicated and formed a network, one that spread throughout the forest, far and wide in this magical land. Because this was a magical forest, there was a stone deep in the earth, placed there long ago by a great unseen ruler for a time when trees would awaken. The stone knew which trees were to awaken and exactly when. And when that time came, the stone would send a signal, and that tree would wake up. The awakened trees had a special purpose. For connecting this magical land were doorways, portals between two sleeping trees, which opened up to other dimensions. One day, the awakened trees would join other lands and races to help in a great battle to save the earth, to fulfill prophecies about times which threatened the earth and all its creatures. Only those with magical keys could open these portals. This tree, tree number 2345672, was to be one of the holders of those keys. And so it happened that one day he was aware that he had eyelids, and he opened them. He looked around. Then a crack of lightning split his trunk in two, giving him legs. Nearby in a town, a bell went off to alert other awakened trees that a tree had woken up. They found his glowing location on a map and headed into the forest to dig him out. "Welcome," said a tree named 47. "We're so happy you are awake." The awakened tree had a lot of questions. He was surprised to see that he could even talk. He was confused and traumatized about being separated from the earth. A tree doctor had to numb his roots before they could cut him free. His name was tree number 2345672, but the other trees called him Sir Two for short, because he was so proper about doing the right thing by Mother Earth. He was not sure if he should leave his place in the ground. And so he learned to walk. He saw the edge of the forest, and when they brought him into the town, he learned there was an ancient history there and giant buildings that trees did not build. Yet all along he wondered why he had been chosen to awaken, but no one would tell him. Everything felt very noisy. He felt strange walking and unsteady, and wasn't used to all the voices, sights, and sounds. For the rest of the day, they showed him all the wonderful things there were to see in the natural world that he had never experienced before. They showed him where the birds flew to, away from their nests, away from the forest and toward the mountains. They showed him where the water underground flowed from sparkling rivers and streams. They showed him how the wind blew freely through the air outside the forest, and how the clouds in the sky moved. All of these wonders at the borders of the forest Sir Two had never seen before. He noticed that many other trees were different from him, their leaves and their coloring and bark, especially the willow trees who lived by the river. They showed him their clay dwellings and the large marble buildings in their town that had been there longer than any tree could remember. They showed him their ancient library that had all sorts of information about magical lands. Then they held a celebration. The day wore on, and they led Surtu to a place with pools of fresh water. It felt nice to dip his feet in and get a drink. Then they went out to a clearing where they soaked up the last rays of the sun. There was plenty of room to absorb all the sun with their leaves, and they didn't need to reach up high for it, like in the forest, or be crowded out by the shadows of other trees. The sun dipped lower and lower in the sky, and the sky turned yellow, orange, and pink. They all watched the sunset together, and for the first time since leaving the forest, Surtu was in awe. "Now," said the tree named 47, "you must rest. We will show you your new home, and tomorrow we will talk more." But still he didn't know why he had been selected. "Please, why have I been chosen to wake up?" he asked. "Don't worry," said 47. "Everything will be revealed to you in time." They brought Surtu to his dwelling, and it was nice and peaceful and quiet, like the forest. There was a hole in the floor where he could dig his roots and sleep, and so he did. All was dark, all was quiet. The insects performed their night concert of sound, and Surtu rested deeply. But he awoke. It was still night and very quiet. Everyone had gone to their clay dwellings. He thought about 47's words, but he was troubled. Why had he been chosen? What would be revealed to him, and how long would it take for him to know the answers? He grieved for the network of sleeping trees that had been connected to him. He grieved for Mother Earth. He didn't know who he was anymore. He didn't know why he felt so badly. He just did. And so Surtu wandered back into the forest, back to the place where he had been born. He followed his senses, the sense through his roots, and finally arrived. There it was, a gaping hole in the earth, the place where he had been born from a seed long ago. The sight of his cut roots drew him closer in. They had been a part of him. There was still life in them. They were his network to other sleeping trees. He reached out his branched fingers and touched them, and felt a shock of life and information to that network, still pulsing with life. Would he be swallowed up again and fall asleep? He didn't know the rules, but he knew that he didn't belong here anymore. "You are a very special tree," said a voice behind him, and Surtu jumped at the sound. He turned to see a very old maple with kind eyes and wrinkled bark that framed her ancient face. Her movements were gentle and graceful. She came toward him. "Do not grieve for them. They are asleep." "But why?" he asked. She smiled. "I see a great destiny for you. 47 says I must wait to know my destiny. Why must I wait?" "Young tree, everything you need is already within you." "I don't understand." "We all have our destinies written in the stars, in our bark, in our very spirit." "Well, that doesn't help me now." The maple tree came closer. "Would you like me to read your rings?" "Read my rings?" "Yes, I will show you your destiny." And so she bored the tiniest hole through his bark and pulled the instrument out, and a circular paper rose in the air, then unfolded and settled on her outstretched branches. She told him all about his destiny. She read the symbols on his rings and told him that he would be a special holder of one of the portal keys. One day he would help the trees and other races save the earth and all its creatures. Me? Yes, you, she said, rolling the paper up and handing it to him. Now Surtur knew that this was his purpose, to help Mother Earth, and he looked forward to going back to the town and learning all he could about the ancient history. He bid farewell to his roots and told the old maple he was ready to go back. Just one more thing, she said. You must remember that it is okay, even important, for you to reconnect with Mother Earth. It is the reason we put our feet into the earth at night, so that we may stay connected. Never forget where you came from. We let her rejuvenate us. None of us have truly left her after all. So they returned to the town, and every day Surtur learned more and more. And ever since then, when Surtur was confused or things got too noisy, he went to a quiet place, dug his roots into the earth, and remembered that he was special. He had a destiny, and it was written in the stars, in his bark, and in his spirit.